From the New Center area of downtown Detroit, it's the Mitch Albom Show with Mitch Albom and Ken Brown. Today's broadcast is brought to you by Health Partners, Inc., specializing in rehabilitation home care and private home care solutions. Now, here's Mitch.
Nope, it's me, Big Al, still. Along with Ed Kelly, filling in for just a short while more while the Mitch Albom Show takes a hiatus, and that includes Kenny Brown and his entire staff. They'll be back next week. I'm with Ed Kelly, who's been a tremendous help and a great contribution to the shows this week, despite what other people say.
Including the program director.
Exactly. Yes, we have a meeting with him after this show. Again, yes. Actually, every 10 minutes we have a meeting with him. So I am in a particularly good mood today because approaching the Fisher Building, I called the coffee shop downstairs because I've learned, because they do pour-overs. Right. Not just from a tap. Every cup of coffee is an original cup of coffee. And I go, you know what? I'm going to call 3 minutes before so I don't have to watch the water drip. Right. And I'm so happy because Amanda remembered my name. Yeah. I didn't even have to say, hi, Amanda. She said, hey, Al, how you doing?
You were watching the Buns coffee maker.
The Buns yes, yeah. Exactly. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. Okay. So I got my half calf, half decaf, half regular, and I'm ready to roll. There was a protest on, I don't know if you saw it on Grand Boulevard out here, and I thought
today's show, actually.
Yes, and that's what I was concerned about. How many days do you have to go? And I'm just happy it took a few shows before they showed up.
I'm sorry.
Well, talking about protests and being a little bit upset about something, I went out today the driveway and brought in my garbage cans for my house. Okay.
Wait a minute. You're in my neighborhood.
I'm about a half mile from you.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't me. So, so the fact of the matter is, I go down and get the garbage cans. Well, today is what, Wednesday morning. Garbage was picked up on Monday morning, very early.
Correct.
So technically, I am 48 hours plus past bringing the garbage cans on. That could be annoying to a neighbor, right?
Some, yes.
Yeah, right. Which got me to thinking about annoying neighbors. Now, I'm not going to talk about my neighbors on the air. They know who they are and what they do. Yeah. But it did remind me of a friend of mine who I've known for a number of years who has a website called MyCrappyNeighbor.com. And this is a place where you can vent, and I think we have Nathan on the phone right now. Nathan, you there?
Yes, I am. How you doing?
Hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. Well, I recall when I literally was taking the garbage cans in, saying, I just hope this hasn't been too much of an eyesore, even though it's been a couple days. Mm-hmm. I thought of you, not because of the garbage, but because of MyCrappyNeighbor.com. Am I one of those? And you have this website, you brave soul. And I'm going to say it right up front. We're not going to name names in our discussion. We're not going to talk about neighborhoods or cities. We're not trying to instigate problems between people.
We don't want slander suits is what it comes down to.
That's what it comes down to, and I want to live a long, healthy life. So we're going to keep it clean, and we're going to keep it nice, but we are going to get into this MyCrappyNeighbor.com. Why don't you, Nathan, give us a quick background on how this all started for you?
Well, it actually started, I was in the shower, just kind of thinking about how the neighbors that had just moved in across the street were really bothering me.
Okay.
And I thought, you know what, I like to write. Let's start a blog. And I did that, and it kind of, people started visiting it, and I realized other people wanted to be able to vent too. So we changed it over to a website, and, it's done pretty well from there. We basically, we lived in a nice southeastern Michigan city. Mm-hmm. It was kind of an older neighborhood, people that have lived there forever. We had 2 little kids, and somebody rented the house across the street from us, and slowly things kind of got. It was a couple with a couple of teenage kids and a real young kid, and things just started getting weird. It was real late night stops where I would watch. I was being kind of a nosy neighbor. But
inappropriate behavior. What going on?
Yeah, I would watch them walk up to the door, grab a little package, then walk away.
Oh, it was a delivery service.
Yeah, some sort of delivery service. They'd leave their trash cans just like you out on the road.
Oh,
sometimes,
thank you.
Sometimes until the next week, and then they would just walk the trash bags out and drop them in. And it was just a lot of, there was yard waste all over the place, broken glass. We heard at one point that the littlest kid was starting to dig a tunnel underneath their swimming pool, just because it sounded exciting.
Not a good idea.
Is this on the Canadian border? Is this is this what this was you were trying to? I'm still trying to figure out why you had to tell us you thought of this in the shower. Maybe your neighbor's up.
That might not have been the way I wanted to start.
Right, that's
it just kind of came to me one day.
Yeah, no, I understand. Well, so you started this to vent and the blog, and it's gotten quite a reaction. Now, I want to remind people too, we want to hear from you. But again, I can't stress it enough. We don't want your name. We don't want the city. We don't want your full name. We don't want to start trouble, folks. But we'd love to hear about, and you got to be out there. We've all experienced it. 1-877-44-MITCH, 1-877-44-MITCH. Call us with your craziest neighbor story. Keep it clean. Let's try and get through this reasonably well. But MyCrappyNeighbor.com, a place for you to vent, and then people were showing up at your website.
Yeah, it just kind of started, basically what I would do is I would log on to some kind of a search engine news source. I'd type in the word neighbor and just kind of go through all the stories that popped up. And, there'd be the occasional neighbor saves older neighbor from fire and, neighbor thwarts a robbery. But those were few and far between. All the ones with, neighbor shoots neighbor, neighbor cuts neighbor. I mean, it was just, I realized that there are, on every neighborhood and every street, there are people that are upset by their neighbors. And
let's face it, we've had plenty of problems in this town and surrounding suburbs. There's always, you just turn on the local news, listen to the local news. There's problems among people. I think even one of the networks, was it ABC, did something with cameras showing some footage of neighbors and how they treat each other?
Yeah, there was a couple of very big stories. I think they did a 2020 special that talked about a couple of the larger, more famous ones. But there's been some nasty stuff out there. One guy I know walked his dog by a neighbor's house he disliked every day. And every day he would take the little baggie full of the dog waste and lob it into their front yard. And finally the guy put up a camera and caught him.
Incoming! Incoming! Wow. Well, yeah, I mean, I've heard the horror stories. We've all heard them. So if you'd like to share one of your horror stories with us, if you're a crappy neighbor, call us, 1-877-44-MITCH. We're talking with Nathan, who has MyCrappyNeighbor.com. Are still people actively going to this website and using it a lot?
Yeah, I think it's a source for people that kind of, if they're not brave enough or, maybe they're smart enough not to confront their neighbor, it's a way for them to come on and they can either just laugh at other people's misfortune or they can send in their own things. We have a little segment we call Dear Crappy, which is sort of like Dear Abby.
Very
where
funny.
Where people can send me, send us their questions or concerns, and we'll actually try to go in and do a little research, with their local government or whoever, police station, whoever it is, to try to help them along with their situation.
Well, there is good that can come out of it.
And really, Al, what Nathan is doing is a public service.
It's
a lot cheaper than therapy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's cathartic here.
Where were you 20 years ago?
When he needed to check up on
the bills have been piling up. Well, Nathan, thanks for joining us. I want to stress, too, Nathan is a sweetheart of a guy. I know him personally. MyCrappyNeighbor.com was not meant to cause trouble. He wants you to go out there. He wants you to be anonymous, to vent, but there's some good coming, and he shared some other stories with me that about good that came from it, where the communities got together and tried to resolve some problems. So, Nathan, thanks for being out there, a watchdog, if you will, to help out folks.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. And you know what? Do me a favor. Close your blinds and stay off my lawn.
Please?
All right. Thanks a lot, Nathan.